Hello viewers, welcome to my channel Online Biology Tutorials. In today's live, we will be studying tropic movements. So tropic and Nastic movements are a part of control and coordination chapter, class 10 science, NCERT. It is chapter number 6 of NCERT. So control and coordination has to be studied for human body and for plants. In plants, control and coordination takes place by these movements and by the hormones. Hormones I have already taken yesterday. If you have not watched the video, you can come and visit my channel and you will be finding it in the lives. So as the screen is clear to you, let's study further. So in case you don't know about how control and coordination takes place in the plant. So let's begin with it. Plant control and coordination. So CNC means plant control and coordination. So it occurs by two ways. One, the movements, which are tropic and nastic movements, and another is through hormones. Hormones, as I said, we have done already. You can watch a video on it. So movements in plants could be tropic movements or nastic movements. You should know the difference between these. So tropic movements are slow. Nastic movements are the ones which are fast. Tropic movements are growth dependent movements. And nastic movements are the ones that are growth independent. Very important thing here, the movements will be in relation, movements will be in response to stimulus. Okay, so every time whenever a stimulus is there and plant is showing a movement with respect to that stimulus, then this movement is tropic movement. These are not dependent upon stimulus. So we will be talking in detail what are the basic differences, how many types of tropic movements are there, how many types of nastic movements are there, one by one. So overall, movements in plant are of two types, tropic movements or nastic movements. Tropic movements are slow, nastic movements are fast. Tropic movements are growth dependent, nastic movements are growth independent. Tropic movements occur in response to stimulus, but nastic movements, they are not at all dependent upon the stimulus. So this is done. Now we will be doing the detailing of tropic movements. So let's begin with the different types of tropic movements that we have. As I said, that tropic movements are dependent upon the stimulus. So there could be various stimuli that helps in doing this movement. So very important is the light, then water, then we can also have gravity, chemicals, or touch. Okay, these are the stimulus which are given to the plant externally and because of which a plant can show the movement. So whenever the movement is there due to light, we will use the prefix photo. Whenever it is due to water, we will be using hydro. Wherever it is due to gravity, we will be writing geo. When it is in relations to chemical, we will be writing chemo. And whenever it is in response to touch, we will be using the prefix thigmo. Okay. So for light, photo. water hydro, gravity geo, chemicals chemo. For touch, it is going to be thicmo. So as we are studying the tropic movements, so photo plus tropic, what it will become? Phototropic. Let's define one. Movement of plant in response to light is known as phototropic movement. Okay, so this way we should know how to frame definition for each of these. So photo means light, and tropic movement is a one which is dependent upon the stimulus. So together the movement name will be photo plus tropic. It will be named as phototropic movement. And how to similarly we can do for water. So for water, we use the term hydrotropic. So together it will be known as hydrotropic movement. What are we going to write for them? We need to write as movement of plant in response to water is known as hydrotropic movement. Okay, so movement of plant in response to water is known as hydrotropic movement. So you can write here hydrotropic movement. Okay, now let's go ahead with the other remaining ones. So if we will add geo with tropic, the movement will be named as geotropic movement. Movement of chemicals along with tropic, so it will become chemotropic movement. Right? Hi Abhijit, welcome to this live. Last one, thigmo plus tropic. It will become thigmotropic movement. Abhijit, can you please share this live with your friends in case you are there in class 10? So we are studying tropic movements, and the 5 stimulus that a grade 10 student should definitely know are light, water, gravity, chemicals, and the touch. So if it is in response to the light, the movement will be named as phototropic. If it is related to water, the movement will be known as hydrotropic. So as I have described for the other two, you can frame the definitions for geotropic, chemotropic, thigmotropic also. So geotropic will be defined as movement of plant in response to gravity. For chemotropic, movement of plant in response to chemicals. For thigmotropic, movement of plant in response to touch. So we are done with these type of stimuli. Now let's go ahead. After reading all the stimuli, what are you required to do? We will be studying further. Why are these movements being named as positive or negative? So let's take an example. Say I have taken phototropic movement first. Photo means light, okay? And if the movement is towards light, we will be using positively phototropic. Okay, so whenever it is towards light, it is known as positively phototropic. And if it is away, then we will be using negatively phototropic. This is very important in case of the tropic movement. So if it is away from light, it is going to be negatively phototropic. Similarly, we can do for hydrotropic movements as well. So hydrotropic movements could be named as positively hydrotropic or negatively hydrotropic. Geotropic movements are also known by two terms, positively geotropic and negatively geotropic. The first three tropic movements, phototropic, hydrotropic, and geotropic, are always referred as positively and negatively terms. Positive means in the direction towards that particular stimulus. So in case we are using the word positively hydrotropic, that means it is towards water. If we are using the word positively geotropic, means it is towards gravity. But if we are using negatively phototropic, means it is moving away from light. Negatively hydrotropic, moving away from water. Negatively geotropic means moving away from the gravity. Now we have to do the examples for each. Okay, so in case of positively phototropic, you might have seen that the stem of the plant, suppose this is a potted plant and these are the roots, okay? These are the roots and this is the stem. So stem will always be bending towards light, right? So in case of stems, we will be mentioning that stems are positively phototropic because they are bending towards light. But if we see for root, it is away from light. So roots के लिए we will be referring that roots are negatively phototropic. Okay. If you see sunflower, sunflower is also phototropic. It moves along the direction of sun. Why? Because it is phototropic. Now next, the examples of positively hydrotropic and negatively hydrotropic. So hydrotropic movements, as I said, will be of two type, positively hydrotropic and negatively hydrotropic. I'm just writing in short for you plus H. It means positively hydrotropic. So if you notice, then roots are always growing where water is there. So roots are positively hydrotropic. But if you talk about stem, they are negatively hydrotropic. Same for geotropic movements. Roots are positively roots are positively geotropic because they are bending towards gravity. But in case you are talking about stem, they are negatively geotropic, right? So positively phototropic is your stem, negative phototropic is your root. Hydrotropic and geotropic, root and stem, they bear the same thing. Now we are done with the first three types of the tropic movements. Let's come to chemotropic movements now. Chemotropic movements. So movement of a plant in response to chemicals is known as chemotropic movement. To understand this, you must know the female reproductive part of a flower. It contains stigma at top, then a long tube called style, and then ovary. Ovary has ovule inside it, and inside the ovule, the female gamete is there. Okay. Now, as you know, once pollination happens, so pollen comes on the stigma. Stigma gives the nourishment because ovary has certain chemicals because of which pollen grows and forms the pollen tube, right? So this is pollen and this is its tube. So pollen will be growing and its tube will be reaching the ovule because it has to fertilize with the female gamete. So movement of or growth of pollen tube towards ovary so that the fertilization can happen with the female gamete which is residing inside the ovule is an example of a chemotropic movement. So in case an image is given to you and you are asked to identify the movement, you should know that if the pollen is growing towards ovary, it is chemotropic movement. Now the next type of the movement, which is thigmotropic movement. Thigmotropic movement is very important to know because there is another type of nastic movement with thigmonasty. So this is movement in response to touch. Suppose you have a plant which has ability to stand erect, but there is another plant that cannot stand on its own, so it is going to take the support. So movement of tendrils along the erect part of the plant comes into this example. Now, as the tendrils are taking the support, a question may come that why are tendrils, by which hormone it is supported. So please make a point that it is due to the auxins. They can also ask you a competency based question that where is the concentration of auxin more. So always remember the part of the tendril which is in touch, which is in contact with the other plant. That part in contact will be having low auxin, and the region which is away from the support, that part will be having high auxin. Because of the unequal distribution of auxin along both the sides, unequal growth happens, and because of which tendril grows further and it keeps on taking the support. Right? So, thigmotropic movement is a movement of the plant in response to the touch. This type of movement is exhibited by the tendrils because they have unequal distribution of auxin. The part of the tendril which is in contact with the other plant, that part will contain low auxin, whereas the opposite part, which is not in contact with the plant, will be having more auxin. So, with this, we are done with 5 different types of tropic movements. Now, we have to just understand nastic movements. Nastic movements are those movements which are not dependent upon the stimulus, right? They can happen in any direction, and generally they happen due to the change in the turgor pressure. So, an example is given in the book Touch Me Not Plant. Touch Me Not Plant has a scientific name as Mimosa pudica. Mimosa pudica is a scientific name, and once you are Dear, this is Control and Coordination, Class 10. So in Mimosa pudica, this is the scientific name. So the first name is the genus name and second name is the species name. And while writing the scientific names, we are doing control and coordination. So the first name is genus and the second name is species. Hi, the ones who have just joined now. So in Mimosa pudica, as soon as you touch the leaves they bend inwards. Why does it happen? This happens because of the change in the turgor pressure, right? So for this type of movement, generally we don't use the term positive and negative because these terms are being made for the tropic movements only. So as we are touching and then the plant is showing the movement, that is why only one type of the nastic movement is there in your syllabus, and that is thigmonasty. Thigmo means touch. So movement of the plant in response to touch. So this is a type of nastic movement. It will not happen towards the touch or away from the touch. It can happen in any direction and it is due to the change in the turgor pressure, right? So this is very important topic, and you should also prepare a difference question between the Thigmo-Nasty and the Thigmo-Tropic movement. In case you have heard the video properly, you can very well write the differences between these. If this video was helpful to you, do consider subscribing. Stay connected. See you in next video. Thank you.